Kletka. Welcome back to Demo, the show where we demo demos from the latest games coming to PC this year. Today we're taking a look at Kletka, a co-op horror game from developer Callback/N404. Picture the Backrooms meets your worst trapped in a mine shaft /Chernobyl nightmare come to life. Let's check it out. Kletka finds you exploring an abandoned apartment complex that has you delving into its mysterious and haunted depths by way of the titular Kletka, or elevator. This game marries the archetypal roguelike into the horror survival genre by having you traverse its seedy halls looking for fuel and resources that will help keep your elevator running, if for nothing else than to aid you in descending further down into its horrifying innards. Graphically, Kletka has a very atmospheric presentation. Effective use of texture and shaders to create a gritty and low-res world that really adds to the eerie quality. It has that early PS1 era graphics look that almost makes it feel like a lost game from a bygone past. The low poly look lends nicely to the horror genre. For some reason, rudimentary graphics add a sense of mystique and cursed media to video games. It almost helps the imagination work more to fill in the gaps instead of having every slimy detail presented in 4K. The plastered on textures and pixelated look just feels more unwelcoming and ominous. With the claustrophobic setting and things like bursting pipes and flickering light bulbs, the apartment complex has this imposing quality that can feel unwelcoming. You won't want to stand still for very long, and getting back to your elevator will be the only sense of comfort, but I wouldn't put too much stock in that either. The music in Kletka is very tense and ambient. With the game being mostly about the immersion, it doesn't rely on a soundtrack to carry its emotional weight. Rather, any sense of melodic presence will sit in the background, or be seen diegetically in the form of cassette tapes that you physically have to play. This sits the player in the scenario effectively, and only in tense moments or triggered events do you really hear the game's music, which is somber and haunting. Kletka doesn't really want you to feel comfortable. Even the cassette music has a tinge of eeriness to it. The sound effects are spooky and evocative. Things appear to gurgle and creak from just outside your perceivable world. All of the sound effects are dressed in the same treatment, so nothing feels like it doesn't belong. It all sits very nicely in the world of the game. Cracking boxes, bursting pipes, squeaking mice, clanging wrenches all feel properly designed to blend into the setting of an abandoned facility. The game has plenty of stereoscopic sound, so you will be turning around in circles looking to find where that odd noise just came from. These two audio components definitely complement each other well and help create a sonic environment that is both encapsulating and unnerving. The controls are simple and straightforward. There is little hand-holding with some of the mechanics. I tend to prefer it this way, as I find tutorials to be a little clunky and awkward. I like for a game to show instead of tell most times, and Kletka sort of lets you figure some things out on your own. It does provide button prompts where needed though, but I didn't realize I could punch things until I naturally tried to. Navigating the toolbar is your standard fare, and the conventional jump and run features are mapped to where you would expect them to be. I didn't play with controller, but overall, the game's control style felt intuitive and natural. I didn't spend any time really wondering how to do certain things or interact with the world. Simple left click to use item, right click to drop item, E to interact with things, and off you go into the dark corridors of the unknown. In games like these, the skill is typically gained and put to the test through repeated play, understanding the strange world you've been dropped into, and adapting to the landscape. In Kletka's case, that means dodging mines, tripwires, bursting pipes, the occasional swarm of flies, and other things. A good game will let you wander aimlessly without a clue until you are forced to test your knowledge of its mechanics. In Kletka, you certainly get a feel for how the game loop works early on. Enter floor, explore corridors, don't die from otherworldly horrors beyond your imagination. In Kletka, you get cozy with how the game works, and then something new happens that shoves you out of that safety zone and into a fight or flight response. I chose flight. You win this round, Kletka. You must replay Kletka to advance. No one makes it out alive. No one gets to see the entire game in one go. Death is a part of the loop. In this way, a game like this never really gets old, as accomplishment is marked literally by how long you can survive. It's an endless game with what I can only assume is progressively more terrifying and menacing horrors that make the deeper levels of the complex more difficult. I only came across one tool I could picture being used for defense from the demonic, and it was a rake. So I'm not sure how well equipped you are to survive. Only on repeated play can you actually develop an understanding of how to go further and possibly uncover some interesting secrets. Kletka has a very unique game feel. I don't get the chance to play a lot of exploratory horror games. I can imagine this game being in the vein of the Phasmophobias and Lethal Companies of the same genre, but the vibe and setting of this was very immersive, and I found myself genuinely hesitant to walk into the next room, even though nothing ever popped out at me. Except for this. This made me change my underwear. And this. Dear God, something is terribly, terribly wrong. Does that traffic cone have spider legs? Now back to the elevator. I am safe in the elevator. Aren't I? Kletka was very enjoyable. I can only imagine this in a co-op setting. I enjoy solo play generally, and find multiplayer in horror games to be somewhat immersion-breaking. But this game feels menacing, and if you're in the mood for some psychological abuse, this is certainly up your alley. The initial moments of curious exploration are soon in the rear view as you become exposed to some of the terrible things that inhabit this building. The atmosphere is great, the game seems to have a lot to offer, and many hours of fun with friends. I can't wait to see what sort of gameplay comes from its post-launch content as well. Kletka's strengths lie in its intense atmosphere, with an intriguing premise and the feature of being a co-op horror game that really adds to the fun if you have a group of friends you can play with. Its cons, however, lie in its somewhat simplistic design, with repetitive floors that can seem a bit tedious, and a general lack of purpose, at least in the early parts of the game. From my short time playing it, I can honestly say that this is worth at least $15 to $20, though I find out now that it's actually going for $10. Kletka is a well-made game that performs great. It has great atmosphere and style, allows for solo or co-op play, and progressively evolves over the course of your run, demanding at least tens of hours from you to truly master its quirks and see all there is to see. Definitely a good pickup for fans of the genre. I changed my pants because I wanted to, by the way, not because of what you're thinking, I swear. Make sure to go wishlist Kletka on Steam and check it out for yourself. Thanks for watching this episode of Demo. Please leave a like and subscribe below, and we will catch you in the next one.